This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
It's back, nearly. The URC is going to be upon us in 2 weeks, and we, the URC Rewind, are back to preview it all. We're going to be talking about every single team in the league and predicting our final standings. If you like the sound of that, give us a subscribe already, or if you'd like to wait a little bit, let's get the show started.
You're listening to United Rugby Rewind.
I am joined by the full crew this week. I am joined by Adam, Ben, and Mohammed. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So for those who are new here, we are on the Global Gameline channel as of this season, no longer on Wrap. Welcome over if you're transferring. You may have noticed that there's loads of stuff on this channel. So this pod is going to be URC only. We are not talking about the Rugby Championship, despite the incredible scenes that we saw this weekend. We are not talking about the Women's World Cup. You will find podcasts specifically about those topics on this channel. You will also find a specific dedicated Ireland pod, which Adam is on, and you will find a specific dedicated South Africa pod, which Mohammed is on, and if Ben can make any friends, we will make a Scotland pod as well.
I've got enough friends, thank you. And time.
So, if that sounds like a bit of you, give the show a subscribe. If not, let's get on with predicting our league table. So we're going to do this in stages, guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to predict our bottom two first. Now, people probably are going to get many surprises in this, but it's a question about which way rounds they're going to be, unless anyone's got some white hot takes. So let's get the show on the road, guys. Going to start with you, Adam, alphabetical first. Who's in your bottom two?
I'm going to put Dragons and Zebra.
In which order?
Dragons 16th, Zebra 15th. Much like last year. I don't see any sort of changes. I would want to see Zebra win more. Of course, I want to see Dragons also be competitive as well. I think the beauty of the league last year was that we were all so close, but 15th and 16th were relatively just at the firmly at the bottom. But yeah, I don't see any change from last year.
Yeah. Ben, what's yours?
Yeah, I can't change my mind on that. It's going to be Dragon and Zebra.
Same order?
Yeah. One win last season with the Dragons, and that was the opening day of the season, and the rest of it was an afterthought.
Mm-hmm. Mohammed?
I've got Zebra 16th and Dragons 15th. Especially since Zebra's been... are you putting mine under your name?
I'm putting yours in mine. Oh, it's all right, because I've got the same as you anyway.
Yeah, Zebra were sort of raided again by the Italian brethren.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's where I'm coming from.
Fichetti's gone, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think there's one guy's gone to France as well. I exactly the same. Is that Zebra's best players have all been poached by Benetton, as is the way in Italy. Dragons have recruited. They've recruited well this season. Last season, the Dragons, when they recruited, I was checking Googling who they signed, and I was like, none of these boys have played for the last year. They've all been out injured. And lo and behold, they were out injured for the whole of last year as well. Whereas this season, they've signed players who are fit, who I've mostly heard of. Now, some of them are a bit long in the tooth, like Wyn Jones, for example, who was pretty much finished when he left the Scarlets, and he's had a season at Harlequin since then. But I think that is going to add to them. There's going to be a lot of pressure on their coach, Philo Tiatia, this year. But I do think that they are going to win more than just one game. And I think that Zebra are going to take a step backwards. So but of all the teams in the league, I kind of think that Dragons recruitment might be the best. I know it's all relative kind of to where they are, but I just think that in terms of material difference, I still think they'll be bottom two. I don't expect them to challenge for playoffs, but I think that 4 or 5 wins is a possibility for the Dragons this season. Again, just catching people on the right day with the best players on the pitch. That's my take. All right, let's move on. Moving swiftly on to 9th to 14th. Now, obviously, there's a lot of teams here, so this is the teams who are missing out, basically. So, Adam, actually, no, we'll go back the other way this time. So, Mohammed, hit me with your 9th to 14th.
So I've got Connacht at 9th.
Yep.
That's generous.
Glasgow at 10.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going controversial. Ben's
That's
not
your
gonna
hot
like
take.
this. I've got my hot takes. So you guys gonna figure out my hot take before we get to the top 4. Okay, and at 11, I've got Ben's not gonna like this. Edinburgh.
What?
I think we need a new South African host. This is ridiculous.
Let me preface the
Oh, no.
12th. I do apologize,
Oh, no.
Adam. It's
No.
Osprey. Sorry, it's Ulster. It's
Oh, I
Ulster.
thought you said Ospreys. I was really. Oh no, he said Ulster instead.
13, Cardiff.
Oof.
And 14, Ospreys.
Ooh, dear,
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah, we're going for
Right,
it.
okay,
This
right,
is-
we've got to focus.
This
on it.
is
There's no point.
this is a Celtic Gaelic bias, heavy Celtic Gaelic bias here.
My 16th to the Sharks.
all four,
I'm joking.
all 4 South Africans in the top 8. Wow. Okay. So
Lions are not
Yeah.
going top 8.
Yeah, so
No
that's
chance.
basically my hot take that all 4 South African teams are
right.
going to make it.
Okay.
To the
So
playoffs.
hang on.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. We've got to focus on this. Glasgow 10th,
Mm.
having been
Yeah.
in the semi-finals for the last 2 or 3 years in a row. Explain yourself.
I just had to make space for the Lions. That's why.
Yeah, but why Glasgow? Come on.
When we see the rest of the team, I believe Benetton's going to make it playoff. I believe
No, hang
Scarlets
on.
are going to be the only.
Don't. No.
so-
No,
doing-
we're not there
Yeah,
yet.
Don't tell
It's-
us who's making
I
the
don't-
playoff.
I don't know.
Explain to us
my
why you
insight
put
is
Glasgow in 10th.
Yeah. My insight is more in relation to how well I know the South African team, so I had to make space for the Lions, and so Glasgow drew the short straw. So those actually I got 2 hot takes. One, neither Scottish team is going to make the playoffs, and 2,
Don't tell
all
us the other
4
one. We haven't
South
got to the
African
hot takes
teams.
bit yet.
Yeah.
Come on, we've got a running
So-
order here, Mohammed. Pay attention. Right. Okay.
So yeah, those are my
Right.
teams.
Ben, what are yours?
I'm going to be objective as I possibly can be here. I think Ulster are going to struggle. Can I go from 14th up to 9th? It's easier for me to think like that.
Yes, you can.
Ulster 14th.
Ooh.
Sorry, Adam. Ospreys.
Okay.
Lions.
Yep.
Connacht.
Okay.
Scarlets 10th.
This is like countdown. Okay.
And that leaves Cardiff 9th for me.
Ooh.
I'm just not sure with all this. And again, whether it's a hot take or not, I think with what's gone on over the summer, with the WRU proposals and a lot of with the lack of structure, the lack of certainty, where is that continuity coming from for all 4 Welsh teams this year? I think there's a struggle there because the funding formula hasn't been agreed. There hasn't been many. I don't think there's been many big signs for any of the 4 teams over the summer. You correct me if I'm wrong in that. Haven't seen any big names go in there. Wyn Jones going back to, I think he's pretty knackered now, isn't he? After he didn't really play much Harlequins last year. I just think the strife with the WRU and there seems to be a loggerheads, don't they? They're not. There's not been the consultation as expected. The
It's
4
really-
teams clearly don't want to be folded into 2. We don't even know what those 2 teams will be. Players are not going to want to go to one of those clubs in case that they're out of job next summer. If the URC does have to be reduced into a 14-team competition, or they join the Prem, or wherever there's different connotations that could come to the fore over the next 3 months. Something's going to have to be agreed by January about what happens next season, if not sooner. And that'll be post autumn internationals. During the autumn internationals, there's a 4 or 5 week break there. Maybe it'll be sorted out then. It won't be sorted out before then, I don't think. And that's my concern, is that I think the 4 Welsh teams will struggle because they don't know what's going to happen.
It's really bad. If people haven't worked out already, Adams Island, we got one voice from all of the Shields, so Adams Island, Mohammed's, South Africa, Ben's, Scotland and Italy, which means I'm Wales, which means I've got the most miserable time this season. It sucks. It sucks real bad. No one wants there are casual rugby fans in Wales who don't watch the regions who want to get rid of them or change them. Obviously, anybody who's a fan of any of the regions doesn't want that at all. the WRU appear to have made their minds up, and it's just a bit of a playing lip service to any kind of consultation. They've committed publicly in writing and like in interviews on film about that the consultation process will conclude in October. I don't think they're going to get any kind of consensus. The Dragons have already come out swinging. The Players Association in the week as well have come out and said, no, we're not okay with this, which raises the prospect of another strike threat when we get towards November. We don't know, but that's a possibility. Yeah, it's real bad. It's real bad. And you're right, it could affect everybody. I guess with my predictions, which we'll get onto in a bit, I've kind of parked that, which I have to do as a fan. I can't just live under this cloud constantly. So yeah, it's going to be a sucky season for me, I think. But anyway, Adam, let's have your 14th to 9th, as I want to talk about that as little as possible.
So I'm gonna go with we're going 14 up. I'm gonna go with I think it's gonna be Ospreys. Then I'm gonna say Benetton.
Ooh, okay. We'll come back to that.
Then I'm gonna put I think I'm gonna put Connacht.
Right. I do want to talk about Connacht. We'll come back to that as well.
Then I'm gonna put Cardiff in 11th.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna put Lions in 10th.
Ooh, not bad. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna put it's gonna get quite difficult because it's gonna be who gets in that sort of spot. I'm gonna put in I might put Scarlets in 9th. Yeah, I'll put Scarlets in 9th.
Okay, I can respect that. I can respect that. Okay, let's have a chat about two. Okay, first of all, let's talk Benetton. Why have you got Benetton missing out on the playoffs? You got them down in 13th. That's a long way down.
I think I see, in my opinion, that sort of missing out on qualification. It was so close last year that it was one of those, when I look at the season last season, for example, between 8th and 10th, where Benetton was between 2 points. So I think it's just in general who's actually just going to miss out on qualification. I think it's going to be another close season. I think I hope it to be like a similar season to last year where it was really, really competitive. And it's just going to be who's going to be as competitive as each other. I put all the 4 regions, as we said, in the same sort of blank. I think that's going to be the case, as we said. I think the uncertainty is there. Whether we're going to see a reply from the players, we don't know. But yeah, I think Benetton being there makes sense. Well, I'd say that Benetton could go from anywhere between 9th to 11th-ish. So
but you've got me 13th.
I put them in 12. I put them in 13. But as I said, it's like it's the missing out on playoffs. I think it's not necessarily where they're placed. I think that's where I think 9th is going to be the most narrowly missed, and then it just goes down from there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We'll come back to Connacht in a second. I'm going to give you mine. I, unfortunately, have also gone Ulster in 14th. I've then gone Ospreys in what number is that? 13th. Then I've got Lions, then Connacht, then doubt myself now, Cardiff, and then Edinburgh.
So we didn't have a conversation about our teams here. It's interesting that our picks are almost identical up until the 9th.
Yeah. So okay. So let's just talk Ulster. Now, remember, guys, if anybody wants to go in depth on Ulster, there is a special Ulster full preview pod that obviously Adam hosts that you can check out as well on this channel. Don't miss it. In terms of Ulster, so Ben and I have got them in 14th. I think the highest.
It's me besides Adam. Obviously got them.
Yeah, so Adam and Mohammed have got them in making the playoffs. So
no,
I just
Adam has. I just have them missing out. But
oh yeah, you have them in 12th. Sorry, yes. Okay. So, for me, I just don't see where the progress from Ulster is coming from. Yes, you've signed Augustus, but you've just got such a horrible record of making signings and then they never fit.
Well,
I just don't see you tell me, Adam, what's changing this season?
We've got Mark Smith coming in. No, Mark Sexton coming in. We've got Mark Sexton, who was attack coach for Connacht last year, and Connacht's attack were quite exciting to watch. I feel like from the preseason friendly, Ben, you could probably say that Edinburgh had quite a young team, but we lacked an edge last year of like turning teams like that over. Um, that being said, it was probably as closest to first team that we're gonna get in that preseason friendly. I feel like it's Richie Murphy's last year on his contract. I feel like he's gonna push. He's got his own coaching setup. We've got Willie Falloon and defense coach. We've got we've cleared sort of that Brain Cunningham stuff away now. Hopefully it's looking brighter for Ulster. We're gonna see where I'm gonna put them. It's probably gonna make sense after when I say that, but I think Augustus coming in. We've got Angus Bell coming in as well. Hopefully he comes in fit. Um, as you said, we've got a history of signing players and they will just come in injured. We've got a lot
Stephen Kitchoff was your last person in the front row for that to happen to, and
exactly Stephen Kitsoff, and then we had Marcel Coetzee, who didn't play 2 seasons. He only played like 3 games in 2 seasons because of 2 ACLs. I think there's a bit of I think I've got a bit of hope about me this year, and that's why I put them in the playoffs. I feel like there is going to be change, and I think that's going to be like using the backs a lot more. And Jack Murphy's older now, so with age comes sensible the head up rugby. So hopeful. That's the word for it.
Okay. I like it. I'm just going to mention the Welsh teams who no one has got Ospreys or Cardiff making it. I've got Cardiff close, and Ben's got Cardiff close as well. The thing with most of the Welsh region, and it's kind of what you alluded to, Ben, is that I just don't see where the progress is coming from. Because, like you said, the signings aren't super exciting. Cardiff fans can correct me in the comments, and I'm sure they will, but I just haven't seen where the big progress is going to come from Cardiff. I think they're going to play nice rugby. I think they're going to be great to watch. I think they're going to get great crowds. I just don't see them having taken that step. To be honest, I think it's a bit of a trend across the league. I don't see many teams who have taken a big step forward. One who I do think may well have done, we'll talk about in a second. Ospreys, we've all got 13th to 14th as well, which I think is interesting. I think they are possibly the most stagnant. They've signed, I want to say he's called Ryan Smith, who was the Reds captain, played against the Lions earlier this year. They've signed him in the second row, but they've lost Adam Beard. So, and they've got this whole thing about the stadium hanging over them, which I won't dwell on, but they were supposed to go to their new stadium this year. That's now been pushed back. They've tried to paint that as somehow good news. I don't see how it is good news. I don't know this, but my conspiracy theory is Swansea Council, who are paying for their new stadium, have said, yeah, we're going to wait and see what the WRU say about the restructure before we start building this new stadium thing.
It has to be interlinked. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Without them, you read between the lines on that, and that's the only conclusion you can come to.
It's this, by the way, with the Scarlets, my team, we've obviously had this new investment from House of Sports and Entertainment, which we now have to call them. That is contingent on the same thing. So we've got this investment that's willing to come in, but they've said, we're not investing in you until we know that you're definitely going to exist in moving into the future. So I'm not being in any way biased by saying that, I'd like to think. Okay, right. The other team that none of us have got making it, but I think is worth talking about, is Connacht. So Adam, the big news there is Stuart Lancaster coming in. So if I preface this with, didn't go well from in France, in charge of Racing. Racing are a basket case of a club with a mad owner and a recruitment strategy that is insane. And he's said that in interviews. He's actually done 2 or 3 kind of kiss and tell interviews since, kind of outing Racing a little bit, which shows kind of how it went. There was one article in the Telegraph or the Times that said, oh, Racing fans were sad to see him go. No, they were not. I can tell you that they were not. He kind of seemed to have gone into that role with his eyes closed a bit. He was like, oh, they all speak French and there's loads of attention on you all of the time. Like, yeah, mate, it's the top 14.
Galactico policy, though, isn't it? It's the Real Madrid of rugby. Racing, it's as simple as that.
I don't know about that. But Adam, what was the chat like on your Ireland podcast about the expectations for Stuart Lancaster? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to fall on its face?
With the chat on the Irish Rugby Pod, we sort of seen, I think the consensus is that he's probably going to be the next Ireland coach. He's going through he's back in the system. I think I said on the other podcast that Connacht are very close. They're in that sort of gap between playoff and not. As I said, with my league standings, I'm doing it based on how close it was last season. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're going to end up in that spot, but it's just about missing playoff. I think with Lancaster is that Connacht haven't done enough sort of signings in terms of they've signed Sam Gilbert, who's a winger coming in from the Highlanders, and after that, that's their big signing.
They
They've
just
lost.
have one a year, don't they? They just go, look at this.
Yeah,
They just get one guy from New Zealand a year and go, look, and then that's it.
shiny. But the thing is, I think with Connacht is that I think Stuart Lancaster is going to take a year to settle, and I think that's when we're going to see the effect. I think it's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting Connacht team when he injects it. I think they've got a new sports ground stand as well. It's opening up at the Dexcom. I'll always call it the sports ground, like Ravenhill. But I think there is going to be a lot of life in Connacht. I think with their sort of internationals not really being there, with the Lions as well, with Beelum, Mike Hansen, and Bundy, I'd say that they're probably going to be, they would be back for a game in October, I reckon, and then they're going to go off again in November. So I think, I think it's a very big wait and see. I think Stuart Lancaster's going to do a lot of good things with Connacht, but I think the year after is when we're going to see the effects.
I've got Connacht at 9, so I thought the Lancaster effect would just get them just outside of the playoffs.
Ben, what's your take on Lancaster?
I think as a head coach, I think there's a lot of work. I think he still needs to prove himself. England, I don't think he was very good. Racing, I don't think he was very good. I think Connacht's probably a good place to go. I don't think the expectations are that high for him, but and I guess it's kind of leaning on my hot take now. I'm not sure how soon it's going to work out for him. I think so. The IRFU is going to have to be patient. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. Especially with 3 internationals there that have barely played for Connacht for the last few seasons, whether it's injury or just being called away. Bundy Aki's agent, Mac Hansen's agent, Finlay Beelum's agent. They're all into the 30s now, aren't they? Is that right? Top maybe Mac Hansen might be a little bit younger, but Aki's 35 this year, maybe 36. And I'm just thinking there needs to be a refresh of that squad now. And it can't just be this, overseas signing every summer. There needs to be a kind of root and branch kind of clear out of that squad. I think the Dexcom, having that empty stand all season probably didn't help last year. If it's finished and fans can get in there from the first home game, I think that will have an impact. But I think Lancaster will need time to bed in to prove his credentials as a head coach.
Yeah, I think that Lancaster's got a point to prove. There seems to be a perception in some places that, like, because he did well at Leinster, and I do think that there is a case of right person for the right job. I think he was always the wrong person for Racing, which is speaks to Racing's recruitment, which is a giant mess. So I think he could be the right person for the right job in this case. I can really see it working.
I sort of made the point on the Connacht preview, which you can listen to on this channel, is that what we're seeing in Andy Farrell's coaching, that's all been built on from that 2015 sort of England squad. It's sort of like the same bash up rugby. It's almost like Andy Farrell's taken that and adopted it, but made it better. And it's sort of what Leinster played like anyway. I think with Leinster, with Lancaster and Leo Cullen, I think Leo Cullen struggled a little bit after Lancaster left, because it was his own he's trying to find his own identity as well. But then again, Leinster found their identity straight away. So I think it's going to be interesting. I do agree with everyone. I think, as I said, I say give it a season, and I reckon they're going to be playoff contenders.
Okay, cool. Right. Before we go any further, we're going to do some hot takes. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you are enjoying the show so far, please consider subscribing to the channel. Our next goal is 600 subscribers. We're very nearly there. We've gone from, I think this first show dropped in June on this channel, and we're already nearly at 600. So it's going a lot better than we thought. If you're into your women's rugby, kind of the flagship show on this channel at the moment is Women's Rugby Treehouse. It's been doing amazing numbers. So if you want to get all the thoughts of that is going on at the moment, we've just had the quarterfinals today. So check that out. And check everybody else. Check out all the guys. If you want something a bit further afield as well, we even have an American show called the Mall Street Journal, which has got 3 hosts all based in the USA. By the time this goes out, we will know whether the USA have qualified for the Rugby World Cup because they're playing against Samoa as we record. So definitely check that out because my God, is there a lot to talk about. All right, guys. Now let's get our hot takes for this season. So who am I going to start with? Mohammed, because you basically tried to tell us already. So one of your hot takes is that all of the South African teams are going to make the playoffs. What was your other one?
Yeah, so that the Benetton will actually make the playoffs. And so there's 3. All 4 South African teams are going to make the top 8 playoffs. Benetton's actually going to make the playoffs. And unfortunately, neither of the Scottish teams will make the playoffs. Yeah.
You just think that it's bad vibes in Scotland at the moment?
No, it's just that sort of my perspective is really more from knowing the South African teams in depth. And then I also have Benetton
You know them
making
so
the playoffs,
well that you
and
think
then
none of them are
Scarlet.
bad.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the Lions. We'll see my full log.
Why?
I've
Because
actually
they've been
got
beating
the shots
Poland
going.
for the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Lisa B from the Bit of an Animal podcast is going to give you a call soon. She's knocking out. I enjoy that. So yeah, it's like at this stage of the year, I feel very confident that all the South African teams will make the playoffs. What's going to happen with the other teams? It's like it's more sort of up in the air, that type of thing. So I had to sort of make space for the Lions and Benetton. And I've also got Scarlets there because I think Scarlets will sort of galvanize around the whole chaos in the Welsh system and just use that as fuel to actually represent the country.
I would love that to be true. Ben, what's your hot take?
I think I've kind of said them. I can't really think of anything else. I think Lancaster will take a while. I don't think it'll work from overnight. I don't think Connacht can expect anything beyond maybe coming out a couple of positions. And I think just the WR stuff, I think there's going to be a big change during the season that we're not anticipating, and it's going to really affect the long-term future of the URC.
Mm-hmm. One day on a different pod, we'll talk about what the URC might look like without the Welsh, but not for today. Okay, and Adam, what's your hot take for the season 2025-2026?
I think it's going to be, I reckon I've got 2. I think Rico Ioane is not going to have the impact that was necessarily needed the way that Jordy Barrett was needed for that URC win. I don't think Ioane's got the sort of skill set that's needed for that sort of Northern Hemisphere switch, the way that Jordy Barrett just sort of went into it for Leinster. And I've got another one, and I do think it's going to be on URC restructuring. I think we're actually, I think we're the closest we're ever going to get to like those 2 American teams joining. That's always been talked about. But I think that this is the season where it's probably going to get confirmed that we're going to get US teams if the WRU.
I was thinking that just before you said it. I think that's going to happen. East Coast teams in America, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, somewhere like that.
Well, okay, so I think that the things that help it are that the CEO of the URC wants it. His quote is, "It's not a question of if, it's a question of when." He says the business case is really strong. And look, for whatever people think about American rugby, the return on investment, the maths is there. Like any glance at any maths, you're like, oh yeah, well, we should obviously try and do this. So it would feel weird as rugby traditionalists to see like Leinster playing against an American team at a domestic level. It would just feel odd.
It was weird when the Rainbow Cup started, when the URC put in the South African teams, because traditionally in a Lions sense, that the Lions were the only teams to play them and the Lions and of course the international teams were the only teams to play them when in the tours traditionally and things like that. So I reckon that the United States, isn't it, that New York is quicker to get to than Tbilisi in Georgia.
That's right. Is that New York and I think Tbilisi, as you rightly say, Adam, are the same distance away. And it's funny that people
6-hour
are
flight.
like, yeah, let's get a Georgian team in. That's fine. But no, not an American team. How can that logistically work? But it's actually the same distance. People don't realize.
Do you think the way around it is to do what they've done with Black Lion and obviously the Cheats Cup is have them as invitational teams in the Challenge Cup?
That's an idea. I can see it. I don't mind
next season. But I just don't know if it's going to be quick enough, because obviously it sounds like they want it done sooner rather than later. But whether you do it next season, invite to the MLC MLR finalists, for example, they get to be invited to the Challenge Cup.
There was a
that
what
wouldn't
they
be difficult.
could have is what the Curry Cup in the first division in the past has opened itself up to foreign teams. What could also happen, there was a rumor about the Cheetahs playing in the MLR, which would have been really weird as well, but the rumor was there. The other thing that helps it, of course, is the MLR is having a really difficult moment at this time. We are, as we record, 48 hours after Houston Sabercats, the team that finished runner-up in the MLR last season, has folded, which means 4 MLR teams are no longer existing going into next season, and there's rumors about more as well, which is really tough. I think there's will on both sides of the Atlantic for it, and like you say, Adam, like America is actually closer than South Africa.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like from like I'm thinking New York. There's a lot of people from all walks of life. There'd be a lot of Scottish, there'd be a lot of Italian, there'd be a lot of Irish, a lot of Welsh, a lot of South African. I reckon that they can make a pretty good crowd. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that are from the countries that the URC cover, and it's sort of the same with like, imagine if you're an American tourist, you can watch an American team play against Leinster in Dublin, for example. It just happened to be the weekend that you're visiting. I think it will. In a way, it does make sense for it to happen if there was that weird essence to happen. But it's been talked about for such a long time. The money.
It's how you fit those 2 teams into the calendar with the travel, like the South African have in their banks when they travel over for like a full 5-week tour, whenever it is, whether it's the first block post autumn, pre-Christmas, then obviously after Christmas into the Six Nations. I think that's the tricky one, is how do you sort of have that sphere, which is going to be very, very vast, to have all the teams not travelling too often, because there is obviously a drive to try and keep things to a minimum in terms of travel. So there's that, but also there's the interest in expanding the sport into the States.
I tell you what, if Wales goes down to 2 teams and then it becomes a Wales USA Shield, my God, that is going to boil some piss. that is going to go down like a cup of cold sick.
The New York Scarlets or the Newport Gwent Philadelphia Dragons.
Yeah. Oh, wow. My goodness.
We just need to get Rob McElhenney involved. Get that transatlantic Rex into Philly. Don't know if you watch the sitcom. Obviously, he wrote, but it's fantastic. One of the best sitcoms out there at the moment. But
we do have a
conduit.
Scottish Italian shield, so why not a Welsh USA shield?
Yeah.
He's gonna have to sleep on that.
You're the one, Adam, of Rico Ioane. Yeah, my God, have you seen the pelters that Geordie Barrett is getting at the moment as well? By the way, like I because I've seen him, I'm watching the All Blacks. I'm like, this player is better than this. It's not that the level is too high for him, because he was incredible at Champions Cup level. So we're not doing TRC chat, but the All Blacks have got problems at the moment.
Tune into a bit of an animal for that.
Yeah. Okay. My hot take is this. I think that Andre Pollard is going to flop at the Bulls.
Ooh.
I don't think it's going to work. If you look at Andre Pollard's career, is completely built off what he's done in his Springbok jersey. He's not beloved by any team that he's played for in Europe. He's not really pulled up trees anywhere. He did all right at Leicester, and I mean all right. He was also on the pitch for some pretty bad beatings as well. And his performance 2 weeks ago for the Springboks at Eden Park, I don't think was great at all. And yeah, so I picked a spicy one. And the other thing is his Jake White signings. This is the thing with the Bulls, is that Jake White made a load of signings. It kind of speaks to how badly it went wrong for him off the pitch, is that people said, like, you need to give Jake one more year, but with his signings that he wants. He got his signings and then he was gone. Whereas Johan Ackerman has come in and he's attack first. Like, he got asked, like, what do you want, like 5 scrum penalties or 5 line breaks? He said 5 line breaks, please. So he might want a different kind of 10. I think that the Bulls are going to live to regret not taking an available Manny Lebok. That's my white hot take.
Do you think Feinberg Magomazulu is going to be the starting 10 for the Stormers and Lebok's sort of surplus there?
Magomazulu signed up till 2029.
Lebok left for Japan.
Yeah, he's in Japan now.
Oh, okay. Right. I didn't know that, but helpful to know.
Yeah. And the Stormers, by the way, are looking to sign a lot of Bulls players, I've heard on the rumour mill. They're looking to ship them down. So that's my white hot take. Let us know your hot takes in the comments, and let us know your thoughts on our hot takes in the comments as well. Don't hold back.
But any Leinster fans, just go wild as usual.
Yeah.
You are also subject to the comments terrier, though. We do not. None of us four are the admin who does the comments. Okay, that is the comments terrier. If you say something mean, they will come for you. It's not on us. If we reply to you, we'll reply on our own accounts. Right.
Diplomatically.
Right. Let's get into the playoff positions. Need to press the right button. That will help. So, Mohammed, give me your and only your 8th to 5th.
At 8, I've got Benetton.
Yeah.
That's your column, Hugh.
Shit. Okay.
Control C,
7
Control V.
Scarlets.
Always liked you. Go on.
6 Lions.
6th.
Mental.
So
you've
such
already
a
got them
bad
all in the
take.
top 8. You've all
Yeah.
got them in the top 6.
Cash
Good
from Rowan sent me some cash. And then 5th Stormers. Yeah.
My goodness, my gosh. Adam, what's yours?
8th, I'm gonna go with Ulster. I think we're gonna scrape it.
What's the point of being a fan, eh? Next.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Then I think it's going to be Sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no.
thought we were friends.
I thought we were friends until you put Ulster. Then we're gonna put I reckon it's gonna be Munster at 5th.
Ooh. Right, okay. Right, Ben, what's yours?
Benetton 8th.
Yep.
Us, Edinburgh 7th.
Yeah.
Stormers 6th.
Yeah.
And I think the Bulls might struggle. I think they're going to go 5th. I think the Sharks might finish above them this season.
I think it's going to be a fluctuating one for the Bulls. I've gone for Scarlets in 8th. I think that we have, because last season we had some amazing performances and picked up wins you wouldn't expect that I don't think we'll get this season. We also had we let one slip, but I think as a team we've grown, and I think I don't think we'll get better, but I think we'll solidify, and we will, those like games that we should have won but didn't, we'll win, but games that we shouldn't have won, we won't, if that makes sense. So we'll work out kind of in the same place. That's my take. I've gone for Scarlets in 8th. I've then gone for Sharks in 7th. I think, God, for God's sake, like John Plumtree, this has got to be the end for you. Like, how you frauded your way to 4th last year is beyond me. It's got to come to a head this year. Like, you see a Khaleesi just playing out of his skin. He's not going to be available for the first half of the URC season, I don't think. Like, you're going to have to... Duh! I hate the Sharks. They do my head in. Then I've gone Benetton. I actually think that Benetton losing a few players and having a change of coach is actually going to help them. I just think it's going to refresh the environment and it's going to reinvigorate them. And they're not going to lose so many players to Italy because some of the internationals like Brex have left. And I think it's just going to stabilize them. They're going to be a bit more focused this year because I think they really underperformed last year. And then in 5th, I've got Stormers.
Have Benetton made the playoffs since it became the URC, since the South African teams have joined?
Yeah, 2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
they got 8. They beat us last game of the season. They battered us. Actually, it was the worst performance of the season. We were awful that game. That was that first week of May, I think 2024. They just put us away. It was embarrassing.
Also,
38-7. It was our biggest defeat of the season in the league, and they just destroyed us in Treviso.
they were also the famous winners of the Rainbow Cup. So
That's
Of
true.
course,
Yeah.
They beat the Bulls.
Oft erased Rainbow Cup that no one ever talks about. So you haven't spoken about, Ben. Just have we asked you about Edinburgh?
No,
Yeah.
no,
Go
you
on,
haven't. I think it'll be a season of consolidation. Apart from Dylan Richardson coming in, I don't really feel like we've made any other big signings. Ali Price going, not so bothered about. Jamie Richards is the biggest loss in that back row. I mean, he was unbelievably good in the last 3 to 4 months season, so much so that we talked about him as a Lions bowler. Obviously that didn't happen, but he was playing out of his skin, and I think he's more unlucky than anything not to make it. Dylan Richardson's injured, I think, until at least October, maybe the end of October. I don't think he's fit, which is a shame.
I've seen Dylan Richardson's Instagram. It seems like the stuff he's posting, he might already have a concussion. So he was very injured. He was very injured by us. Something was going on, but yeah, I've seen his recent posts. He might have a head knock.
Yeah, I think it's all about Harry Patterson getting a good season this year. I think he's got a career ahead of him at, not world class though, not Finn Russell, but he has got something in him as a fullback. And I think with Doohan and Darcy outside of him on the wings, Mosesi Tuplat has to have a better season this year. Matt Curry came on leaps and bounds last year. I think Ross Thompson, Ben Healy's obviously gone down the pecking order. I'm surprised Ben Healy got a new contract extension over the summer, to be honest.
Yeah, that was weird because it felt like what's his in the cold. Coach was like Sean Everett.
Well, he, after the first 2 games of the season, I think it was that awful game in Joburg where he hung him out to dry and said, "This is your fault, Ben. That's the reason we lost so heavily." I think, off the top of my head. So yeah, I think there's that. I think there's bits to work on. Injuries need to be kept to a minimum. We did struggle last season. Darcy's going to be out until possibly November. That's a long time. We do rely on him a lot to score a lot of tries. Him and Doohan, obviously, we've had this conversation. They're very different wingers and offer you very different options on either side. I'm still not convinced by Sean Everett. I think we were never going to get beyond an away quarterfinal. We weren't going to win in South Africa. It was good to get there, but we weren't going to win that game because we just don't have that maturity. I think there's still a bit of naivety in that squad that needs to be worked through. So yeah, that's where I kind of sit. I think it'll be top 8, but I think it will be as squeaky as it was last season. I think it might come down to the last couple of weeks of the season. And again, the structure of the fixture list does impact Edinburgh. We're so good at home. Our away form. We got Zebre first up away. We were lucky to get a draw there last season away.
You were.
We have to hit the ground running. And I said at the start of last season, we lost our first 3 or 4 games. I think our first 3 games, and that just puts you on the back foot. And we can't have that again this season. We have got a slightly easier opening block. We've got Cardiff away, Benetton at home, Zebre away, and Ulster at home. I think we could potentially win all 4 of those. But the key is to hit the ground running. And Sean Everett, I think, just has to develop maturity into the squad that hasn't been there for a couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm. Another team that we need to talk about, partially because 3 of us have got them finishing outside the top 4, and also I can tell you exclusively that they are in the thumbnail. The Stormers. So the Stormers obviously finished the season on a white-hot streak last season. They were helped by a very favourable list of opponents at home. And I can see that being the same again. I think they're going to be good in Cape Town. I think for all of the talk about Bani Lebok or Sasha, I think it's no Willemsen, no party for the Stormers. I think when he was suspended for the quarterfinal, I think that was chances gone. I think he's an incredible player.
Well, look how he played yesterday. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. But I think that it will not be this season. I think it'll be next season when we see the Stormers really back up. I do think that, and this sounds like some. How long are we into the podcast now? Will they be gone? No, they won't be gone yet because we haven't spoken about them. Fuck it. This is something a Munster fan would say, but the league needs a strong Stormers. I think that the Stormers add something to the league in terms of the culture and the heritage there. I'm sorry to other South African, we'll talk about the Bulls in a bit as well, but I just think that they bring such a different vibe with the huge crowds they get in Cape Town as well, by the way. I think certainly in the top 5, maybe the top 3 for the most attended rugby club in the world. I think a strong Stormers is what the league needs, and I think they will be strong in Cape Town. I'm still not sold on Dobbo as a head coach. I think he should be kind of shifted up and he needs more help in there. And they seem to have loads of issues with injuries, Mohammed. They just they can't keep a man fit to save their lives.
Yeah, that's the problem. I like to look at depth charts, but you also have to factor in the fact that you can bring players in that's not on your original so they can draw from the guys in the Currie Cup and other places as well. So that's my concern. I have them in the playoffs. I think they can win the tournament, but it's going to be obviously difficult from the position I put them in. So I don't write them off in that respect. However, I don't think they have the squad for the sort of marathon that is the URC 18-game season, as opposed to like a sprint Super Rugby season. So I like their players, but like forward depth concerns me. Frans Malherbe is quite old, and he's injured now, but he's like vital for the team. They've got a lot of exciting players. They've got 3 exciting scrum halves in Ngobeni, Asad Moos, and Imad Khan. Kobus Reinach has joined. How available he's going
I think
to
that's
be.
great. I think it's a great
Yeah.
signing.
Yeah. I mean, that was rumored ahead of time. There was like chatter that he was building a house in sort of Sea Point area, and they were like, "Oh, he's probably going to sign for the Stormers." So, yeah, he's come on in leaps and bounds. The weird thing is that Kobus Reinach was very inconsistent with the Sharks, and he went overseas and he played for 2 different clubs. First he went to England, and then to France, and he's come back a lot more mature and yeah. Stormers, exciting team to watch, but. Yeah, there we go. And then Stormers, exciting team to watch. Not sure they have the forward depth for the marathon that is the URC.
What I think about the South African teams is that because of the way the Rugby Championship has been scheduled this year, the first 2 weeks of the URC season, South Africa home and away against Argentina. Granted, one of the games is at Twickenham, but it's how available are they going to be henceforth after those 2 games? The likelihood is they're not going to be available before maybe even the autumn test starts. So you're going to be seeing Sharks in particular.
I think it could be after Christmas.
They're going to be decimated. I know that there needs to be a rejigging of this because the South African teams, we've designed it so that the URC breaks for the 6 stations. Fair enough, because Edinburgh would struggle, Glasgow would struggle, Leinster would be. I mean, even though their thirds could probably beat most of the teams in the league, Munster would struggle. I just think the South African teams have been done a bit dirty with the way the Rugby Championship's been scheduled this year with this 2 games, week off, 2 games, week off, 2 games. So it becomes an 8-week tournament as opposed to 6 weeks. Guys, there's a lot of travel, but I just think to not have your mainstays available. I know a lot of the players are in Japan now, and there's obviously, the Toy, Libet, etc. Malcolm Marks has gone to Japan as well, I think, hasn't he, off the top of my head?
Yeah, and Colby.
Yeah,
the issue is, though, is that
yeah.
the Stormers and the Bulls at least start at home, so lucky for them. Whereas the Sharks and the Lions again start the season in a European tour, which is very difficult because the Sharks played really poorly against Connacht round 1 last season, and then they played much better in Wales, but they were able to get Jaden Hendricks immediately back from the Springbok team because he hadn't played that much towards the end of the previous season. He had been injured. He was sort of in the Springbok team, and him coming on for a much younger Bradley Davis at the time made a big difference, even though across the whole of the season, Jaden Hendricks actually played much worse than we would expect of him. So yeah, I'm also kind of annoyed by the whole thing, but like we need to mess with the schedule a little because effectively the South African teams also get the time off during the Six Nations, so the Springboks themselves also get time off that time. Although sometimes you do schedule South African against South African teams at that time. Yeah.
My hot take that I ended up not going with was I think that all South African teams are going to go out of the Champions and Challenge Cup at the group stage. I think they're just going to go, do you know what? We can do without this competition. I know the Sharks are really into it, and I think the Stormers are kind of bought into it a little bit, but I just don't. I think somebody's got to give, and I think if it was me, that would be what it was. Right, top 4. Right, I'm going to go first now. So my top 4 is going to be Bulls. I think that with Johan Ackerman, I think they're going to have a transition year, but I still think that they're going to be strong enough at home to get top 4. And they're good away as well. That's the thing about the Bulls is their away record has always been amazing. I think then Glasgow. I think Franco's signing on. I think that it's not a perfect house, but I just think I think there's going to be a big gap between the top 2 and 3rd and 4th. Is my prediction, and I think Glasgow are kind of just going to end up in 3rd, if you know what I mean. Then I think Munster are going to be 2nd, and then Leinster, obviously 1st. We'll talk about Munster in depth shortly, who I can tell you are also in the thumbnail. But who should we go for next? Ben, who's yours?
I'm going to go Sharks, Munster, Glasgow, Leinster.
Okay, Adam?
Stormers, Bulls, Glasgow, Leinster.
Okay, and Mohammed.
I got Sharks at 4th, so it's slightly lower than last season, but we'll still scrape it by hook or by crook. Munster at 3 because of the new coach. Leinster at 2, and Johan Ackerman's Bulls at number 1.
Wow. Okay, right. Wow, goodness, where do we start? To be honest, sorry, Leinster fans in the comments, there's not tons to say about you. You're just going to Leinster on. 3 of the 4 of us have got you top, and then the person who doesn't has got you second. The only thing that I'll say about Leinster is that the rumours are, if you believe rumours, that Jacques Nunaba isn't that happy and is maybe exploring to
Yeah.
leave. Is that right, Adam?
That has been sort of whispered for, well, since the last season that I've heard. He's been sort of unhappy in that sort of sense. And I thought the rumor was that he was even last season, but he didn't in the end. So I think he's exploring his options, let's just say.
I have at 2 separate points heard rumours linking him to the
Yeah.
Bulls.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I
Ben,
was under the impression that he went back to Ireland because his wife really likes it. How does she feel about Durban?
no, that was Lancaster.
No, was it not RG Snyman that wanted to stay in Ireland because she had a job? That's what it was, I
No.
think. Because he went from the reason why he went to Leinster was that they got offered, but then RG Snyman's wife absolutely loves Ireland in general, so that's why they stayed. That's why he moved on to Leinster.
I love Ireland as well, to be fair.
So,
Ben, what's the vibes in Glasgow at the moment? Because it felt like during the summer that Franco Smith was linked to every job in the world, and I think he would have been kind of open to it. I have heard on the rumor mill that he's not a Nucifora fan. What's the kind of feeling you're getting from Glasgow at the moment?
There's such a strong squad. I think Franco Smith staying is a big bonus. I think he has that gravitas of that squad that he could maybe go into those conversations with the SIU and be on the front foot. And I think they may have bent to his demands if that such a conversation existed. I think he's the opposite of Sean Everett. I think he's just a massive tactician. He did a lot with a squad that hadn't done very well for a few years under Robinson, and I think they've kept the nucleus of their squad. Granted, there's been this Nucifora kind of I want Scottish players in Scottish teams that are either Scottish qualified. Dan Lancaster being one of them coming over from Racing, and has got rid of Henke Venter's gone, which was a shame. JP Dupree's gone, Cordera's gone, Cancellieri's gone. There's two of those 4 players were pretty essential players the last couple of seasons. Venter in particular, Cancellieri on the wing as well. But I think they're the premier team in Scottish rugby at the moment. There's a lot of value in that squad staying together and having a head coach like that. And whether there's now a succession plan when Gregor Townsend probably will go after the next World Cup, which isn't that far away now. It's only 2 years. Whether then Franco Smith has been given that sort of on the nose, it's your job if you want it in 2 years' time. Just have another couple of seasons at Glasgow, try and get top 4, try and get us another title, because he's been a fantastic coach.
But how badly is it going to affect them without TJ? We don't get to talk about TJ anymore because he's in a league that we're not allowed to speak about.
He's the biggest loss from any club in the URC, apart from Geordie Barrett going back to New Zealand. I think TJ going to England is probably the biggest loss for the sort of top tier teams in the URC this season. I think him going is leaving a hole, because he could play 10, 12, 15, 11 or 14 at a push if you needed him to. He's obviously gone for the big bucks. It's a shame he's gone because I think we can all say we're massive fanboys of TJ. Hugh is, I know that.
He's a Scottish Damien
private conversations. Yeah, he's just exactly. Look at Williams yesterday, changed position and still manned the match. That's how good he was yesterday. And TJ can do that, and I think that's just a shame he's gone to England. Cause I don't really have much love for the Prem. So I feel like he's gone down a level.
A god in that league.
Yeah.
Okay, now the kind of the big one, Munster, with the new coach Clayton McMillan. Now, I guess kind of the thing that kind of adds credence to I think what nudged me to put them into second is, ironically, Conor Murray coming out and absolutely slagging off Graham Rowntree in the last week, where he's basically said he didn't know a bloody thing about rugby. So that suggests to me that the squad is being held back a little bit. Squad's not bad, but that suggests to me that there's more to come from that squad. And I just rate Clayton McMillan massively for what he's done with the Chiefs. Probably on balance the best team in New Zealand over the last 2 years. Just unfortunate to lose, I think, 3 finals in a row they've lost, which is brutal. But yeah, Adam, you're shaking your head. Talk to me.
So I've got it on sort of I've just been chatting to all my Munster rugby friends, and that whole Conor Murray thing this this week has just been apparently
It's like Sexton last year. Has he got? I presume Conor Murray's got a book penciled.
Conor,
He must have.
Yeah, that's where it's coming from.
he's got a book. He's got a book out
Yeah,
too.
of course he has. Yeah.
Graham Roundtree is rubbish, even though he won them a URC. He's just got like, like he's doing this whole thing of he's retired now, by the way, because from what I've heard from my Munster rugby friends, hello Ben and Caitlin. Caitlin,
What are you talking about? Caitlin's a Connacht fan.
yeah, well, yeah, he's from Galway, but so is Caelan Doris. But anyway, from Connacht even. But yeah, from what I hear, that Conor Murray's a bit of a wind up in that sort of sense, that he was expecting to be a big French top 14 nine, and the contracts offers came in to the Pro Division 2 teams, and it didn't match his salary expectations. So he said, "No, shove this. I'm going to write a book called Graham Roundtree Crap." Tour around Ireland saying it, and then see how it goes. But yeah, I think Munster are going to do well. I did put them in fifth, granted, but I think it's just one of those that I think they're going to go far. I think they've got a good. I think they've got a good squad. They've got the best Ulster kit this year, and that's also an annoying one. We'll get onto that one next week. But yeah, I think there's a lot of promise to Munster, but I think the URC, as we all sort of say, it's very close. It's very unpredictable. There is going to be some type of shock in there. Whether they come second or in fifth, I reckon they're going to go far in the sort of knockouts anyway. So I reckon they're just going to be classic Munster with a nice Kiwi twist.
I mean, they have a good squad, so I figure he's gonna make the most of it. I think there's gonna be like a breath of fresh air, and there's gonna be an energy, and yeah, I look forward to seeing. But it's true of all the teams. It's dependent on who stays fit and who doesn't.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Munster apparently had a clean out of their S&C department as well.
Yeah, they're in like dire need of a non-Irish qualified prop as well. I think that's what all the Irish teams needed, props. But David Humphreys sort of had said no to it originally, and then let Leinster sign a French prop, and now they've let us sign an Aussie prop. So, they might have a short-term signing inbound. It seems like it's fashionable now to have a short-term sabbatical clause in your
Sabbatical, yeah.
It's fashionable now to have a sabbatical clause and go out to Ireland to play URC. But yeah,
well, they all used to go to the top league in Japan, didn't they? Bodie went, a few others went, and now and then it was France.
Have you seen the yen
post-career? Now it's struggling.
Having a bank account full of yens does nothing for you.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
get them euros. That's what you want, or pounds in the case of Ulster. But anyway, so. Right. So yeah, I just think that Macmillan is going to do a great job. I like you said, I think their squad is good. They've got Casey and Crowley, who are going to be fit because Ireland aren't going to be playing them, and and obviously I think Andrew Coombs has been the best player in the URC for about 2 seasons now without getting the recognition that he deserves.
Yeah, I think that's the sort of the feeling of all Irish rugby fans, that there is sort of like players that you sort of expect to be in the Ireland squad, but they don't get in it. But it's going to be an interesting one for all the Irish provinces this year. I think we're going to see a couple of shocks. I'm hoping for a couple of shocks, to sort of that push for greatness once again, because last year wasn't the greatest in our league.
And then
bar the trophy, but
And then Mohammed, lastly on the Bulls, what are you expecting from Johan Ackerman?
Because I watched Ackerman sort of galvanize that Lions team, in fact, start coaching them when they weren't even in Super Rugby, because they had to take a break they were sort of relegated for Super Rugby for a bit, came back. I have a lot of faith in him. Since then, he left the Lions, Suez the Brain took over from the Lions and also did quite well. Shouts to him.
An incredible whispering about women. I've interviewed him. Unbelievable guy.
I've seen it's very good. And and then Ackerman sort of went to coach in the Prem. And then he went to Japan, where it didn't quite go so well because he got demoted from head coach to assistant coach, and apparently he was quite keen to leave. He's done some sort of shadow work for the SA Baby Box sort of under 20 team. So yeah, I considering the depth that they have, they already had a good squad. They brought what's the guy's name? They brought a lock in. I'm quite keen to, of. They got Janssen van Rensburg from France. They brought the other lock that now the Sharks have poached. That's quite nice. And Jan Serfontein. I also have concerns about the durability of Andre Pollard, despite the fact that he's is a good player. So how they manage Keegan Johannes, very, very not so durable. Johan Goosen and Pollard. It's going to be very interesting because those are their three options. But Chamberlain left the Bulls. He was only there for a year. He's gone to Newcastle Red Bull. So yeah, I think the Bulls are going to be hungry under new management and new coach, and sort of they had Jake White for a very long time. Are they going to be as hungry as the French player that bit Aoife Wafer earlier today? No, but yeah, they'll top the lock.
My goodness, my gosh.
We can't mention that just yet. It's still quite young in that.
What talking points in that game, talking points all over the place. Right. That brings us to the end of episode 1. I think we are very close to being bang on an hour. Well done, everybody. Next week is Jerseys special. Now, because of restrictions of time, we are only going to do home jerseys. So maybe later in the season, we'll do away jerseys, because I actually think that there are some away jerseys that are nicer than home jerseys this season.
Away jerseys nicer than our home jerseys.
So we'll make that as Christmas special or something, because obviously we'll be buying jerseys Christmas, won't we? So tune in for that. We'll be going through all 16 home jerseys, and we're going to have a special challenge that you won't see the like anywhere else. So make sure that you tune in, keep it locked to the Global Gain Line. Thank you to Adam, Ben, and Mohammed.
Cheerio.
Enjoy the rugby. I hope everybody's favourite team wins. See you next week. Bye-bye.
That was the United Rugby Rewind. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.